Welcome to the Investor Shed Podcast with Nick Beveridge, the ultimate source for all things investing and beyond. For free tools, tips, and tricks, go to northidahorei.com.
Jeremy Kitchen, welcome to the Investor Shed Podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
Going really well. I'm so excited to be here today. It's been over a year since we've had one of these podcasts, so this is season 2 of the Investor Shed Podcast, and we've got a new co-host, Jeremy Kitchen. Say what's up.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm super happy to be here, and hopefully I bring some greater value to the show, and it'll be good. It'll be good things.
It'll be so good.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me, Jeremy Kitchen, you're an investor now. When I met you, you were not. Neither was I, because we met when we were very young. First grade, something like that, kindergarten.
Yep, first grade.
Yeah, we were not investing in property back then.
No, unfortunately not.
No, we should have.
Yeah. Those 30-year interests, those 30-year mortgages would be almost paid off by now. I think we'd be at year 28, 29, so...
That's a good point.
Yeah.
If only we started investing back when we got to know each other, we would have a few paid off houses by now. Yeah. Almost. Close to.
Just be a couple steps closer to our goals, I think, so...
Yeah. So Jeremy Kitchen, brother from another mother. Her name's Roxanne, but you won't meet her today. Nobody cares. Tell me, what are you doing on this podcast? And who are you?
Well, that's I'm glad you asked, Nick. So I am doing just whatever I feel like. No, I am doing... That's a good question. What am I doing on this podcast?
That's a great podcast. Well, how about I do the introduction then?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we can always, if you wanted to do the introduction later, like after, kind of like Bigger Pockets does. But we can talk about my upbringing and uprising and stuff like that if you want.
Okay. Can you hear me okay still?
Yeah.
Because I don't have. I'm gonna have headphones next time. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. You're good.
All right. So, Jeremy Kitchen, newer investor. Tell me, how's life lately?
Life's good, man. We got a lot of projects in the works. You would know. You're a part of a bunch of them.
Yep.
I know you've got a lot more than that going on, too, so me being busy is definitely an understatement for what you have going on.
Not always a good thing, but
not
continue.
Always a good thing, yeah. I think I'm properly busy, and that's good. So we got the hard money stuff going. We got our money lending going, and we got a rental finally with you. And yeah, things are looking up, man.
Yeah. No, I seriously, I commend you. You're doing awesome. You're doing all the right moves from what I can see from my end. What I'll probably talk about a lot on this season is, all the mistakes that I've made lately.
Yeah.
And I hope you don't make the same mistakes by over leveraging and just like getting into way too many deals than you can
Sure. Yeah.
possibly handle. I certainly made a lot of mistakes, but I'm learning from them. I'm going to get through it, and I'm glad to have you by my side. You're going to co-host for who knows how long. And so tell me, why don't we start off with the very first deal that you, actually before that, what got you first interested in real estate investing?
So, to be honest with you, I was never really interested in real estate investing. Obviously, you've known me my entire life, and you've tried to tug me along here and there. You've tried to show me the way, but I was very hesitant and resistant to it. It wasn't until you hired me to work at Gingersnap Media, the real estate photography company, that I really started to take a deep dive into what... Yep, Gingersnap right up there. Into what real estate investing really was. I don't know what I was expecting, but it seems to be a lot of people have systems in place, and that makes things easier to accomplish, right? So I thought it was chaotic. I thought you were nuts. I thought Joe Turner was nuts. I thought you guys were just absolutely crazy. Like, you guys buy shitty houses, and then you make them nice.
Yeah.
And then you make money.
Ideally.
Right. In an ideal world, right?
That last part is not always guaranteed. But
No.
Certainly for a while we were.
Yeah. And you've always been really great at running your numbers and everything like that. So, I mean, I definitely look up to you and Joe. And again, that's kind of how I got started. Just being in the office with people who are doing the thing that you're interested in, right? You end up becoming the sum of the 5 people you hang around with. And I definitely surrounded myself with some investor like-minded people. And I got the bug. I got the itch.
Yeah. You got the bug real bad.
I did.
Well, I just think it's awesome because like the way you've been talking lately too, like you now speak like, a financially sophisticated person. And like, I've seen your personal development grow like crazy over the last couple of years. And it's been really, really interesting and awesome to watch.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So you are officially self-employed.
I am. It's
So
crazy thing.
what's that like?
It's one of those things like you take the leap, the net will appear. You have to take that leap. Obviously, I loved everything Ginger Snap did for me. It set me up with a lot of the right people, a lot of the right mindsets, and eventually you have to kind of take the leash off and run free. So what I'm doing now is I work with hard money lenders, and we broker their hard money. So what I do is I get paid when we make deals. Same with you.
Yeah.
So
let's take a step back. So you work with hard money lenders. How did you get into that?
honestly, by accident. So my wife and I, Sam, we got our primary residence in January of 2021. Obviously, you live in Coeur d'Alene, so you know what happened with the market around that time. Appreciation just went insane. Within 1 year of having our primary residence, we bought our house for $312,000. It appraised at $527,000.
Yeah.
So we had
a lot.
like 160% appreciation in just 12 months. It was mind blowing. We had two options at that point. We could do a cash out refi, or we could do a HELOC. And obviously, both those have pros and cons. The cash out refi would have made our interest rate go up. We got our interest rate at 2.25, which is, again, insane. I will sign up for that any day of the week. That's free money. If we would have cash out refi, then it would have been up to 3.5, which is still pretty damn good. But what we wanted access to this money, and we wanted to lend it out for other investors. And that began our first deal. So we got a HELOC. We ended up getting a $170,000 HELOC on our primary residence. Within a week, we had people trying to nab and grab that money for sure. You were one of them.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I'll always take somebody's money.
Right? Absolutely.
And put it to good use.
Sure. Yeah. You'll put it to good use, and then you'll give them a return on their money, and that's great. So,
can you tell me a little bit more about like the psychology behind, like you and I, we grew up with living very thrifty, right?
Sure.
And not to let the cat out of the bag, but I feel like the last, when you got access to that money, have you ever had access to that kind of money before?
Never. No.
Was your mind blown, or?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Were you tempted to go buy a boat or liabilities, or?
Honestly, no. I was not. I have no intention of buying liabilities with money that I'm lending from the bank. What I would like to do is buy assets with that. And I would like to make money off money that's not mine, basically. So
yeah.
the $170,000 in the HELOC, right? It's not technically my money; it's the bank's money. I've been lending out the bank's money and making a profit off that, while they're still making a little bit of a profit. That's just growing my net worth slightly over time, and it's helping us get into a better position to acquire more properties.
Yeah, because most people, when they get a HELOC, they use it to buy liabilities.
Right.
They upgrade their kitchen, or they go buy a car, or consolidate their debt,
Sure.
and then they go and get more debt. I just think it's awesome that you're actually using debt for, one of its main purposes is just to use it as a leverage to go create more assets.
Right. And speaking on money just a little bit too, like savers are losers, to be honest with you. If you're just saving your money and you're just putting it in your bank account where it's getting 0.1% interest annualized, you're not making any money.
You're losing
money
to inflation.
Yeah. What's inflation now? Like what? 12%? Just that's on paper.
Yeah. Well, so the low estimate is 13%, but more realistic, it's probably been 20% over the last few years, year over year. And then the CPI, they make it. They make it look like it's 5-8%.
Sure, I think they say like 8 or 9, something like that nowadays. Yeah. But yeah, if your money's just sitting there, you're losing. So I figured, why not use what I have to make more of it? And then once we get that back, use all that to make even more. So we're basically compounding our investments.
Yeah. How long did it take you to kind of understand this concept of how money works and debt, inflation, and kind of how it all, it's almost like a force of nature, how it all works together. Did it take you a while to kind of come to terms with how money works in the real world?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's growing up as a teenager, I wasn't exactly frugal with my money. I bought whatever I want. I bought liabilities. I bought things that served me temporarily. And again, like this is all obviously future mindset, but if I could go back and if I could save better, even though saving is for losers,
Yeah.
but if I could save better and start making better choices in my youth, I would have propelled myself much faster than I have. But now that I've got my foot on the pedal, there's no going back.
Right. And to touch on that saving is for losers kind of deal. I think if that's your primary strategy, you're ultimately going to lose to inflation is what he means. And what like Robert Kiyosaki means by that. It doesn't mean that saving doesn't have its place, because you do need to save up for certain things.
Sure.
It just shouldn't take up, when you put all your eggs in one basket, which is the U.S. currency, U.S. dollar. If you look at a 100-year chart of how that's doing as an asset, it's not doing very well.
Right. Historically speaking, it's pretty bad.
And at the rate that they keep printing money, it's just getting worse and worse every year almost. So we don't mean to offend anybody when we say savers are losers. It's just the simple act of saving your U.S. dollars in the bank and doing nothing else. That's why people seem to never be able to get past, that rat race.
Right.
Always spending what they have and always being behind in some way.
It's definitely hard to get ahead with a saver's mindset.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, like I could save all my money, and I do save money. I do put money away, obviously, but that's going to be for down payments. That's going to be for emergency funds, kind of things like that. So if anything happens, I have an oh shit fund, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, tell me about, if you can remember, the first time you decided you wanted to be an investor. Like, do you remember where you are or what you were thinking? Because I remember at least the first year or so when you were working with us, you definitely seemed like you didn't really have an interest in it much. You seem to be interested in maybe lending.
Yeah. Lending has always been cool because I mean, the thought of giving my money and helping people achieve their goals, it makes me feel good, right? So I'm coming from a place of I can make somebody else reach their goals, and I can kind of live vicariously through that. It's always been a little and again, that allows me to be just a part of the project too. So it allows me to be an asset towards my people, basically. But as far as investing itself, I didn't really have an interest in it the first year or so that I was with Ginger Snap. I know you started getting me to go to your investor meetups. That was pretty crazy because you get in the room with, 50, 60, 70 people who all have a like-minded vision of what you have.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a sense of camaraderie there. So, a whole bunch of people are doing this and a whole bunch of people have achieved major levels of success. There's got to be something here.
And what's so funny, like if you really take a few steps back and look what happened with you, it's not like you were there by choice.
Right.
It was kind of your job. You're the media guy and you had to show up and film these and then you had to rewatch them.
Yep.
And I kind of knew eventually this would happen with you because most people, they're not just going to show up to some random investor event.
Right.
And especially month after month, even if they're obsessed with real estate, not everybody can always fit it in their schedule to where they're consistently coming to some sort of investor meetup.
Sure.
Where you're learning constantly and you're networking constantly with the people in this business. But like you kind of had to be there almost because it was your job to film this. And then you also got the benefit of you had to go back and watch it to edit these videos and stuff like that. So I always found that interesting, but I don't think I've ever directly asked you what that was like. Have I ever? I don't think we've ever even spoken about that, but I've always had a feeling that maybe you personally, I don't think anybody else has had to digest this kind of content more than you because you had to go and rewatch it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've absolutely drowned myself in, honestly, content, which it can be a blessing and a curse, right? Because the biggest problem with real estate is there's too many ways to make money.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, if I engulf myself, and I have engulfed myself in plenty of books, podcasts, REI events, bigger pockets events, things like that, you can definitely get overwhelmed with the amount of ways you can make money in real estate. And that's where it's important to kind of pick something that fits your needs and pick something you enjoy. And lending really struck a nerve for me. So, like, again, I get to put my own money in the deal. I get to make more money back out of it. I get to learn a couple things along the way. Potentially some construction, other aspects like that.
Yeah, speaking of construction, you got to learn pretty quickly how to do some. I remember when I first hired you for the media company, we had to grow it from scratch. It wasn't existing,
Yep.
so it's not like we had clients right away. Do you want to talk a little bit about for those? Because I don't think you've ever told this story. Do you mind telling the story about not how we met, but how I convinced you to quit your job and come work for me for a company that doesn't exist?
Yeah.
For a childhood friend that was probably not always the most sane person, maybe in your point of view.
Right. No, I've always known you've had big, lofty, grand ideas. I was working at a car rental dealership for about 4 years. You actually approached me. We had a breakfast date at a hoagie place in downtown Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
And you had it laid out all on paper. There was a plan there. And if there's anything that I did enjoy about that, there was a plan, right? So here's what we could do. Here's what it could be. I don't think that ever came to fruition. We did a lot with Ginger Snap Media, though. It was really cool, and I'm very proud of what we did do.
Yeah.
It was definitely a means to get somewhere else, though.
That's right.
And you approached me with an idea of a startup for a real estate photography company. I was terrified, to be honest with you. I was like, okay, I've been in this job where I've been here for 4 years. I'm comfortable. I'm secure in my job, and that's the loophole, right? You get stuck in a secure job, you don't get to move forward in life. We took a risk, and it ended up working out really well. A lot of my life changed just because I took a job at a real estate photography company. I know it was in your plan at the beginning to hook Sam and I up at the beginning. And that ended up happening, right? So I met my wife through Nick Beveridge, who met Sam through ZipRecruiter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thanks to ZipRecruiter.
Yeah, thank your ZipRecruiter free trial for letting me my wife.
Yeah, we did a free trial. We hired the right person, and then we got our money back, I think.
Yeah.
Or we canceled it before we had to pay for it.
Right. It was really good. And it was my understanding that Sam thought she was signing up for the REI outdoor place.
Oh, really?
That's
right. Yeah, she didn't even think that she was signing up for a real estate thing.
She thought she was going to work at an outdoor clothing store. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, that all changed my entire life, right? So I met my wife. I met my one of my passions through real estate, just with Nick. I get to do deals with my best friends. It's all great now. So
yeah. What would you say? But I mean, there's always going to be challenges, right?
Sure.
What do you say these days are like the biggest challenges that you have to face?
That's a good question. Applying what I've learned is definitely a big challenge, right? So again, I can listen to all these books, I can listen to all these podcasts and everything. The biggest problem I have is taking the necessary action. I've been filling my days with the busy work part of things, so I need to drill down and I need to get what is going to move the needle forward. Mm-hmm. And that's something I'm aware of, and that's something I'm working on. So every choice I'm trying to make is like, what's going to push me further in my career? What's going to push my people further in their careers? And that just, again, allows me to be a better asset for everyone around me.
Awesome. Okay, great. What has been the biggest takeaway over the last couple of years, if you can summarize it in one sentence?
One sentence, there's going to be a lot of hyphens and commas, I think.
That's okay. If you can summarize it in a couple of sentences.
Sure. The biggest takeaway is obviously there's more than one way to do life. What we were thought of or what we were taught with our 9-to-5s in school,
that's good,
isn't the way to succeed. Right? And even in high school, junior high, nobody's teaching you how to balance a checkbook or what money really is. They're teaching you about Pythagorean theorem and a squared plus b squared, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's not real life skills being taught. And you have to really jump outside that box if you want to make any sort of difference.
Very well said. A lot more than one or two sentences, but Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. No, there's definitely there's better ways to do life, and there's a lot of people who know and have experienced how to do it better.
Yeah. So would you say that at this point, I know you've been putting out content now for the last couple of months. You've been heavily sharing what kind of transition that you've gone through personally. Do you feel like there's anybody out there right now that you've maybe had a personal impact on or inspired to do more with their life?
Oh, absolutely. I've got messages from friends around the world that have said, the video you posted has made a direct impact on my day to day.
That's awesome.
Especially about getting out of debt and how there are different ways to do things. I know a lot of people are making a lot of content, so unfortunately, I'm not making anything that's groundbreaking, but I am sharing what's working.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to start sharing what's not working, right? So I'm going to start sharing the things that haven't worked for me or the things that haven't worked for a lot of my people. Even like being over leveraged or not analyzing deals correctly. Like one deal can make or break you for sure. So making sure you're running your numbers and making sure you're doing your due diligence is very important.
Oh yeah. And we'll be talking a lot about that in this season because there has been probably 5 deals that I did not get into as correctly as I wanted to, and now I'm paying for it. But we'll talk about that in future episodes.
Right. And the best thing though, like you're always learning, right? So every time you've made a mistake, I'm sure you've learned more than when you did something right.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, we can talk for hours about all the mistakes I've made over the last, 8-9 years of investing. And I mean, successes are great, and that's usually what you see at the end of a slideshow.
Sure.
But man, all the failures and mistakes that I've made, it's just, I'm still in awe of how I'm not bankrupt yet.
Right.
But real estate is so forgiving. It is
absolutely.
It's such a powerful investment because if you just give it enough time, things seem to work out. As long as you've got good ethics, you just complete things and don't just let things hang. Real estate can be a very forgiving and powerful investment.
Sure. And one thing to note on you too, like I've seen you with all your employees. I've seen you with all your crews. You're very fair to everyone. And that kind of energy goes out into the universe and comes back to you, I think.
I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, even with your employees at the NERT team, your construction teams, all the other people you have in place, you treat everyone very fairly. And again, like, I've seen you give raises when they're not needed.
Yeah.
I've seen you take people to Mexico even when they should or shouldn't go. And no, you're coming from abundance, and that's a good mindset to have for this, right? You have to come from abundance. It's not a solo show; it's a team sport.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's just, I mean, that's the one thing that I wanted to correct for some mentors that I had that I won't really share names, but I had a couple of mentors when I started off in real estate, and I noticed that a couple of them kind of had a scarcity mindset. And that was something I never really wanted in my business or in my life. And I just wanted to prove what Tony Robbins preaches, that, what comes around goes around. And the more you give, the more you get. And if you can make life about giving, you're ultimately going to receive more than you can handle.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So far, things have worked out pretty well because I try to be as fair as I can. I appreciate you actually noticing that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A lot of people notice that, not just me. So
yeah. Tell me what people can expect this season on the Investor Shed podcast.
We're going to see a lot of cool banter, I think. We're going to get we're planning to go nationally with the Investor Shed podcast. And that's part of what we're doing online here. We're getting our systems in place, and we're going to start getting a lot of really cool people with a lot of really cool outlooks in here. Hopefully we're going to learn, we're going to entertain, right? So we're going to provide value and we're going to entertain you, and we're going to have a good time doing it. So I think it'll be a really good time.
Nice. And I also want to share, in case anybody out there is wondering why this is called the Investor Shed podcast. The first full season, the 33-something episodes I did for my office. But what you're seeing behind me, I have in my backyard a shed that I built just for podcasting.
That's been the goal all along.
I built this thing about 3 or 4 years ago, and I said, I want to build this shed in my backyard so that I can do some high quality podcasting. I'm finally actually doing it. It's season 2 of the Investor Shed podcast, and you guys get to see the actual shed.
I love it. We'll get some banners behind you and everything too.
Yeah.
We'll make it look really nice in there, I think. So
Thanks.
yeah. But about you, Nick, real quick about you. What is your plan for the rest of, well, I guess we're in November now. What's your plan going forward? Are you going to start reeling in your projects? Are you going to start minimizing your risk? What are you thinking?
So that's a good question. It is November 7th, and we've got just shy of 2 months left before the end of the year. And I have a goal board. Maybe we'll share it in a future episode of all these things that I wanted to accomplish. Cool. And I'm getting really serious about wanting to still accomplish everything that's on there. Awesome. I was off on my weight goal. I was like 228 pounds at the start of the year, and I wanted to get down to 199, get in better shape. I'm at about 210-ish right now. And I figured, at the rate I was going, didn't think I was going to make it. So I hired a personal trainer, met with him this morning. He's going to get me on track, make sure we hit that goal.
Beautiful.
I have an RV park that I want to get to an 80% occupancy. We're almost ready to actually open it up. So I want to make sure that gets done before the end of the year. And awesome. I wanted to finish out 17 projects by the end of the year, like builds, flips, burrs, not necessarily sell them, but at least get them done.
Yeah.
And I think I'm at 15. So I need to get 2 more done in the next couple of months, but I want to exceed that goal and get 5 done.
There you go. That's totally doable. So
yeah. How about you?
Well, where we're at right now, we got a lot of money lent out. What we would like to do for the next round is get that money back, and we're going to put use our HELOC as a down payment on either a duplex, fourplex, or a single-family residence, depending on what works and what makes sense. We are still planning on doing some house hacking, so after December, Sam and I are going to be renting out a room in our house, lessening how much money we have to pay on our mortgage, thus saving that money, and we can use it for a bigger down payment for something, or just in our OCRAP fund.
Nice.
Going forward, we're going to obviously, after we put the HELOC down, we're going to put a huge chunk down, so we're going to be looking about putting about $100,000, $150,000 down on another house. Obviously, after that, we're going to be refinancing, hopefully fixing it up a little bit so we can get more cash out when we refi, and then just keep that ball moving forward. So
awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah, that's the plan. It's good to have a plan, and we're going to execute it. It'll be good.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and then we're also going to get a self-directed IRA going so we can kind of continue our lending without having to pay the money on our HELOC when we do it.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
My wife just came in. But
hey, Hillary.
She just took off. She just walked in. She's like, "Oh shit."
Bye, Hillary.
She's already gone. She came in to drop off some mail.
Nice.
All right. Well, I think this is a good first podcast. What do you think?
Yeah, this feels pretty good, man. I'm really excited to continue this and get some episodes under our belt and hear from a lot of different people and learn a lot of different perspectives. So
yeah, and as we go and interview people, we really like the Bigger Pockets format, so we're probably going to rip off and duplicate a little bit of their style.
The RAD method.
How do you feel about asking the same few questions every time? Should we do anything like that? Like a type of famous four, but name it something else and different questions.
Right. There's a lot of different variations of those famous fours. We can do a lot of the same questions at the end. I have some ideas that I would like to run by you with those. Mm-hmm. And just definitely getting kind of a flow going and getting something where people can expect, but also expect the unexpected.
Oh, yeah. Surprise questions?
Ooh, juicy surprises. I love it.
Me too. All right. Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And everybody out there, thanks for listening. If you haven't yet, you better subscribe or we'll find you.
We got to build up some social media presence before we tell them to subscribe. We don't even know where they're subscribing yet.
Well, you better subscribe to our channel. That's right.
Their channel that's obviously there and in place.
We're on Twitter, everyone.
Yeah, we're on MySpace. Don't worry about it. Just follow the Investor Shed on MySpace.
That's what we should do. We should do MySpace exclusive podcast.
I love it. Justin Timberlake would approve.
Okay, great.
But yeah, we'll get some social presence built up, and we're gonna run this thing, and we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Perfect. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Investor Shed podcast. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel for instant access to all future episodes. If you or someone you know has investing experience or stories to share, reach out to us in the comments or via email.